Hi guys, welcome back to the Spots of Wisdom podcast. I'm Shannon, I'm from Bristol and I run Spot That Dog. Jade is out of bounds at the minute, unfortunately, due to some family issues. So I have a special guest today. I have Jess from Hoof Paws. Jess, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jess. I own Hoof Paws in Kent. We do pet sitting, dog walking, and dog training services, and soon to be the Dog Academy. Well, the Hoof Paws Academy.
Very nice, very exciting for you, Jess. So those who have listened to our podcast before, I have had Jazz on from Hammond's Hoofs and Hounds. So me, Jazz, and Jess all met together on our dog training journey. We did the same course together. So we've been inseparable, but we live literally all three different ends of the country. But we have been chatting every day since, supporting each other's businesses and going on from there. So obviously these guys are a great guest to have on. We all have the same sort of opinions as well, but even varying opinions at the same time. So today we are going to talk about reactivity, and as I like to say, tribrid businesses. So obviously both me and Jess do dog walking, sitting and training. So how tribrid businesses are affected by reactivity in dogs, and then we'll just talk about generalized reactivity at the same time. So Jess, do you have any first-hand experience when it comes to dog reactivity yourself? So not business-wise, your dog, previous dogs, how have you dealt with it before?
Yeah, so I got Bella in 2000 and maybe 15, I think.
Yeah.
Small little Cairns Terrier, cross Patterdale, we think. It was apparent a few days in that she was very dog reactive. It was something we wasn't told where we got it from. So yeah, that changed the trajectory of what I was going to be doing, because she was meant to be coming to the kennels I worked with at the time to join me. Obviously, very quickly was like, she can't come to work with me. Not going to work. And that's predominantly why I set up my business, was because I couldn't have pet care for her, and finding that was really difficult. So I was leaving the kennels. I was going to get another job working as a dog walker for someone, and that didn't work out. So kind of was like, oh, what should I do? I know, set up myself, and do what I've always done for her, because it's limited when you've got a reactive dog, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you know my story myself, but mine was exactly the same. I obviously previously worked in a doggy daycare. Woody was already reactive at the point, but it did mean that having to not get care for him. I'm lucky in the sense that I've got family that can help me. But I was only on a temp contract at the daycare. I was on maternity cover, so I was always going to be leaving that job at some point. And it was kind of then in my brain that I'd made that step into the animal industry that I wanted. And going backwards and going back into hospitality and stuff like that wasn't really an option. So sitting and walking was my first priority at that point. I had already started obviously our training by the time that I'd finished at the daycare. But yeah, Woody was my big spur on to starting my own business and actually having a niche, if anything. So when I first started, actually, I think majority of my dogs were reactive. All were solos. Obviously, we do mostly solos now, but we do have dogs that we compare with other dogs, obviously with the owner's consent. But back then, it was always solo walks. It was always one dog. Majority.
That's the same for me, actually. I think I was the only one
at that point.
I think I was the only one in our town that offered it.
There are a lot of dog walkers and just pet professionals in Bristol. A lot of group walkers in Bristol, and while the group walkers do also do solo walks,
yeah,
I think a lot lot of them do just specialize in group walks, whereas we're the other way around. We don't offer a group walk, is not a service that we outwardly provide. But we have got owners who have said, like, if you ever need to take my dog out with another dog, that's great, like, go ahead, not a problem. But if we ever are going to do that, the owner's always made aware first. We'll either ask if it's okay, or we're just like, oh, we're planning on taking Fido out with Jean next week. Is that like whatever? Like, I'm just trying to think of random names of dogs we don't have.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, group walks I don't think will ever be on the cards for us. It's just not our niche. And then equally, like, although we've got lots of friendly dogs, a lot of our dogs don't tend to either have recall, or they're just so into their walks they don't really acknowledge us, so letting them off isn't an option anyway. So yeah, you obviously reactive specialist, aren't you? Really, that is your passion when it comes to dog training. So elaborate on it for me, Jess. Why do you love it so much?
I think I love helping families that like are at that end of the scale where it's like last resort, whether they're considering euthanasia, which is a bit of a taboo subject, whether bites have happened, or I've even gone into families where marriages are breaking down over the like full breakdown of the relationship, where the dog's causing a massive conflict. And I really like to help those families. That's where my heart lays. I have a lot of experience with animals with trauma history, so I really like supporting those. Those cases aren't like, they're not quick fixes. That is not possible when you've got people with trauma. They're very long-winded. It's like 2 steps forward, 10 back, 2 steps forward, 18 back again. And I love those cases for me.
I think it's one of those as well. I think unless you're educated on it, you don't tend to realize, do you? Like, obviously I know myself, we've got Woody, he's been reactive for 6 years now. It isn't a quick fix. It's not a straightforward sort of thing. And when I think it's the thing that people, while neither me and you are the kind of person to put another trainer down, any trainer that tells you that they can fix your reactive dog in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, are lying. Essentially, that it's a sales pitch. I fully know, and I fully admit to everyone here, obviously with Woody being reactive so long, for me it has been one, figuring out why, and we're just really properly getting into the base of it. Obviously for him there's a whole array of reasons on why he could be the way he is. It could be like bad breeding, it could be that he's been trauma in his sense, but with the vet, not like he's not been attacked, he's not had any bad experiences. So there is underlying pain there that we know about, that we are recovering. But there's also, on my part, lack of time. Unfortunately, and you know yourself, doing this job is really hard work. Having multiple animals, so both me and Jess have got horses. We've got multiple dogs, and then work life. There is no social life, unfortunately. It's just one of those things. But trying to balance all of that, plus training your dog, like, right, I need to walk the dog, but then I need to do a training session at the same time. And you know as well as I do, when it comes to telling your clients to do dog training, if they're not in the mood, it's not worth training, because that's going to play off onto the dog. If the dog has a reaction, you're not going to respond to it very well. You're not going to be in the mindset to do it properly. Like, there's so much that comes into it. And unfortunately, so obviously the past 3 years I've been running this business, I've been pushing this business and building it and building it and building it. You do have a lack of time. So for me, as a reactive dog owner, not a dog trainer, as a reactive dog owner, my issue is I've slacked when it comes to his training and the need of time. And I never expected it to be a quick fix. I think if I had truly dedicated daily time every day, yeah, then he probably would have been fixed by now. But that's not also realistic. And I'm not going to promise any of my clients that I can fix them in 6 weeks when, if they're working and they've got jobs, it's not necessarily feasible.
Well, and I think also, like, we put so much pressure on ourselves to fix something. And when something isn't a natural emotional response, everyone's entitled to a response on something.
Yeah.
And it can be quite hard to you're putting all your pressure on your animal responding in a certain way.
Yeah.
And some just can't cope with certain situations.
Yeah.
I get calls where I'm like, oh, I want to be able to take them down the high street. Well, sometimes that's a really unrealistic expectation for that dog as an individual.
Yeah.
That's not something that they would ever be able to cope with.
And I like to go to my customers, I'm like, right, what's your best case scenario and what's your worst case scenario? So for me, my worst case scenario would be that I can just walk Woody past the dog on a lead. Never allowed off lead again, but I can walk past him and he won't react. That's my worst case scenario training wise. Best case scenario is he can run along the beach off lead, ignoring every single dog out there and have the time of his life. Like, that's me saying, right, I'm not necessarily expecting him to be Mr. Perfect and is always going to be able to socialize with every dog out there. But as a bare minimum, I want him to just be able to walk past the dog and not care.
And it is also case dependent with that, isn't it? So some dogs, so that's a really realistic goal to have with Woody. He already goes to agility where other dogs are present. But for another dog, that might be a really unrealistic expectation. And that's also okay. And I think with reactivity comes a lot of judgment, both with the public, judging other owners. We've had it before where I had a very special dog to me who I had walked for years, who was very reactive, who wore a muzzle. I actually had to stop putting him on social media just because a member of the public stopped his mum and was like, you're out of order for having him muzzled. You have no control of that dog. And actually, she did have control of the dog, and the dog was lovely and excelled in training. But because he had a muzzle on, they massively judged his mum.
Yeah, and I think we've said it before, haven't we? Like, it not only depends on the dog, it depends on you. So
for sure.
I say it all the time. I have never ever had an issue. I've never been confronted about Woody being reactive. I've never had people give me shit for him being reactive, or if I very rarely muzzle him because he's not a bite risk, but occasionally we do it for training. If I've gone out with a friend and we're both like, right, we're working on their reactivity today and we want them closer, but we don't want to risk anything, he'll have a muzzle on. You're the same. Walk around with the rest of it safe. So people do actively avoid me on walks. They generally tend to see me and they'll see me with my dog on a lead and they tend to call their dog back. They don't come into my space. And actually, I haven't got any wood, touch wood, is this wood. I've never had once, but I controlled the situation. I've never really had an issue with a dog approaching Woody off lead.
You've been really lucky in your area.
To cause a problem. I have been considering where, I mean, you've been to the field where my house is.
Yeah.
That is spot, we'll call it. It's not, but you get a shitload of walkers there, and there are a lot of walkers that piss both of us off, and they do piss me off on a daily basis. There's a lot of opportunities for things to go wrong, and I'm very lucky that there is one particular dog with an elderly man that goes out. The dog, God forbid I ever bump into that dog with Woody, because I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. I bumped into him with Bucky and I watched the other dog, and the minute I seen a sign I didn't like, I got Bucky out of there. Nothing happened, but know the fact that if it was I had, one of the dogs would be at the vet.
It's bad though, isn't it, that you get to
But
know
again, yeah, I think it goes back to, yeah. And thankfully, like, if anything, I've got to be thankful I've got my training, because again, if I was in that situation with Bucky and I don't know body language and stuff like that, there's a good chance that dog would have jumped onto Bucky, and the size of the dog, the power of that dog, it will do damage if it wants to. And you've got, again, going back to owners, he is a typical, this is going to be really stereotypical and prejudiced, very typical old man who thinks all dogs should be off lead. Anytime I walk past him with a client's dog, he goes, "Oh, do you not let it off lead then?" And I'm like, "It's not my dog, and it's got no recall, so no." Every single time, without fail. And it just,
I think a lot of people think that every dog walk should involve their dog going off lead, and that they're letting them down by not letting them off lead, even if they're reactive or they've got no recall. But it's about keeping them safe and keeping members of the public safe as well.
And it's like we said, every dog's different. And like, we've got, look at my two. We've got Bucky, who's friendly, who doesn't actually go off lead at the minute because his recall isn't very good. And then you've got Woody, who's reactive, who will go off lead as long as there's a safe distance, or if the field's clear is fine, because he will come back when he's hooked. And again, it's one of those things, it all depends on the dog.
Absolutely.
Every scenario,
I've got two ends myself.
is completely different.
Absolutely. I've got two ends of the spectrum myself, and they get treated very differently in handling as well as training. They learn very differently, and I wish more owners would consider getting help when they're suffering in silence, and rather than get help with their reactivity.
Yeah, and I don't think it took me very long after Woody had become reactive for me to do anything, because it was the end of lockdown that I realised anything. Obviously he'd lost his tail before lockdown, and then we went into 3 months of lockdown where he's seen dogs, but he only seen the yard dogs, so he'd only socialised with 2 or 3 dogs a day at our local yard. So he didn't have his road walks anymore, because he used to come up to the yard twice a day and used to run around the fields. He didn't need a walk because we walked around the fields. So he went from seeing dogs on the street every day to only seeing these 3 dogs every day.
And those become predictable for him, don't they?
Exactly.
In behaviour, they become completely.
And he's gone from having to learn social cues to only knowing these 2 dogs or these 3 dogs, and actually knowing what they want and what they expect. And it is just one of those things, isn't it? Like, I think I have forgot what the original point was, but it's fine.
No, but I also actually think you make a good point there, because a lot of people who have reactive dogs seem to think that they can't have. Oh yeah, but they go get on with my next door neighbour's dog. That's also fine, and that's also normal for a reactive dog to have a certain someone or a group of dogs that they actually get on with very, very well.
Yeah, and it was one of those. So obviously Woody had those 3. Before that, he used to go to obedience, he used to go to agility. He had loads of friends. It wasn't until the end of lockdown, I think the first dog he ever had an issue with was, technically it was one of the yard dogs, but it wasn't one of the yard dogs. Like, the lady who had this Frenchie never used to bring it up very often. So Woody'd only met him when he was a proper puppy, and then it was like 6 months old by the time it came back up.
Yeah.
And that was the first dog I knew he had an issue with. And then another one was a couple of months after or something. We went to our local walking estate, and he was off lead, and every so often he'd bark at a dog, which he'd never done before. And I think after that, I'd obviously got in contact with a trainer and gone from there, and we've been in training since. But you learn different things.
Yeah, and everyone has a different opinion on how to work with reactivity and how you should go about it. And but it's also down to the individual dog and how they respond.
Yeah, and I think, like you said about having realistic expectations, I think it's good to have goals, But again, you need to have your bare minimum as well, and what you're happy for your dog to be like.
Yeah.
It's the same
I
with
think,
anything.
yeah, I think it's a two-way street, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
considering the dog as an individual and what you as a human have as an expectation.
yeah,
And there has to be a middle ground there.
yeah, definitely. I just, like you said, it'd be nice, and I think again that's what got me into the dog training side of things, that you want more people to understand certain things. And my big thing at the minute is training all of my owners' body language and picking up on when their dog's like feeling a certain way, or and I'm like, right, did you just see your dog, like the way it stood, it went from all just chilled out to like chest propped out and go like this. And while most obviously a lot of the time they'll tell us not to compare dogs to humans, there's certain things I like to explain to them. So when dog kind of starts to stack up and chest out and all of this, like we say that they do, I'm like, well, he's essentially squaring up to someone in the club. Like he's trying to look intimidating, and it's just explaining things.
Oh, it's in a way of humans
Into human
understanding,
terms.
isn't it? That's it,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
It's not about, like we said, it's not about say anthropomorphizing dogs. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
It's just explaining in human terms what the dog's doing. So, like I said, right, well, your dog's staring out your dog. So, well, what does that mean? I'm like, well, if someone's staring at you in a club and squaring up to you, how are you going to feel? Oh, well, a bit intimidated. Well, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do. And then different, like, it. I'll think of more examples in a minute, but it's
Yeah.
just explaining it in a way that a normal person without any training can understand.
If someone's shouting at you and screaming at you, i.e., they're barking at you, you're
Yeah,
probably not going to enjoy it,
no,
are you?
no, exactly.
And you have
And
two choices: you either shout back or you turn round.
exactly. And this is why for me, I try and train all of my clients some sort of body language.
Yeah,
Body language is a big thing at the minute for me. And then it's nothing to do with any of this, but calmness training is a big thing at the minute. I'm trying to train just getting
for
everyone
sure.
to just get their dog to chill out a bit, because there's just so much focus on other things at the minute that people are missing things like that. So they're not training their puppies to settle. They're not training their dogs just to chill out. And then you get these overworked hyper dogs that have
Yeah.
other problems because they don't know how to chill out.
Well, I think the thing is, we have such busy lives as humans, don't
Yeah,
we? Like such busy lives. Like you're running in, you're going between work, grab the kids, go out, do whatever. That our dogs are like somewhere stuck in the middle, just running around like, oh my God. And then we want them to
yeah. I have
exercise.
no idea what's going
And
on.
exactly, we want them to exercise at regimented times, at like like long distances actually for dogs.
Yeah,
It's about slowing those walks down. It's something that I say a lot, especially if you have a reactive dog. It's not about the miles or the quickness of a walk,
yeah,
it's about the quality of the walk. So
yeah.
you can be
And
out 5 minutes and that's fine.
yeah, it's all what it's making the walks worth it for the dogs, isn't it? So, right,
Absolutely.
okay, you could go on a 5 mile walk, but if your dog's reacted to 20 dogs in that time, that's not a good walk. Whereas if
Yeah, you
you've
might
been
as well
out
scrap
for,
that.
yeah, if you've been out for quarter of an hour, you've not seen a single soul, and all your dog's done is sniff for quarter of an hour, then that's a good walk, because your dog's not practiced the bad behavior. They've not traumatized themselves through having reactions. They've just had a beneficial like calming walk.
Absolutely.
And again, like recently I've been explaining to a lot of clients like things that, so do you have a training session or after you go on a walk, let your dog chill out for a bit and just have some like one-to-one time, whether that means go in their bed or in a crate or in a spare room, just to decompress. And I'm like, it's things as simple as letting them have a chew or a lick or this, that, and the other, just things that bring their levels down so that they actually have time to almost reflect on their walk and just
Yeah, for
take
sure.
it in and just chill out.
I mean, it's that expectation, isn't it, as humans? And like for them, they should be busy all the time, and that's how you burn them out, and then that will stop their reactivity. It's not true at all.
Yeah.
And it's something we see a lot as trainers. And the other thing I see a lot of, I don't know if you do, is zoomies after walks.
So
like, not from my walking clients, but generally, like after some owners will say to me, oh, my dog gets the zoomies after the walk, or we play ball after their walk, or whatever, they're still hyped up. And that to me is an indication that that dog might have been struggling out on that walk.
yeah, and I mean, anyone who listens to the podcast, and you guys know that occasionally I do use a Halti on Woody. I'm not shy about that.
He's a strong boy though, isn't he?
If I need to feel safe, he's a strong boy. You know that yourselves. He's a strong boy, and if he's particularly reactive, and we've had a bad time, then I almost use it as a reset. It sounds really if I get into explaining it, it will make sense. But essentially, it is a reset for both of us. It means we can get out, have a walk. I can get my brain over having that first walk after a really bad reaction. And it means that he gets out and we get on with it.
Is it like you'll get out of jail?
When he comes back, yeah, kind of. So like, if he has a massive reaction, he's done it before. He's pulled me into the road where he's gone to react at a dog crossing the road. That was years ago, but I actually had like a massive bruise on my leg from it, where he'd pulled me and my legs must have smashed together or something, and like I almost fell over, and literally, luckily, it was one of the local roads around the corner from my house, so there wasn't really any traffic. But if that was into traffic, he could have got run over. So for me, he would have been on a Halti walk for the next day or two, if we hadn't had a rest day, because it's just that mental reset for me. I'm like, right, I know I need to walk him, but if I can handle any reactivity, like I just need to quickly, even if it's around the block, quick round the block, get him done, get out of the way. Mental reset for me, mental reset for him. We've got out, we've had a good walk. Again, I'm not using it to control his reactivity or anything like that. It is literally just a reset, keep going. Safety, that's the main thing, is safety, that he's not going to pull me into there, we're not going to have any issues. Just to keep going again. And again, I've lost what I'm trying to say.
That's okay. I think, you have to put your safety first, don't you?
Yeah.
And a lot of my reactivity clients, I will kind of say, you don't have to walk every single day. Like,
no,
if that's unachievable for you, and you're not going to be able to have a nice pleasurable walk, and you're stressing out. Like one lady, she phoned me and she was like, literally, I swear I end up in tears every walk. I'm like, stop walking your dog. And she was like, what? And I was like, stop, because you are so stressed out and you're getting yourself so upset every walk. That's no good for your dog. It's no good for you. Like at this point, you're both stressed out. And like with her, I said to her, go get yourself a coffee and go to a dog field. And I would love for you to do that. Aim for one walk a week. Out. And the rest of the walks.
Well, this is what we've normally been doing, but I literally found out a couple of hours ago that my local dog walking field is just temporarily closed. I was like, no.
Oh no.
I was trying to book it for tomorrow, and they're temporarily closed. And I was like, for God's sake, because it's literally like 5 minutes from the house. So it's fine. We'll figure.
Have you got a lot
near you? But again, like there is another one which is 15-20 minutes away. It's just this one was closer, and also I know the owner. So it's one of those resets, depending on what you want to do. Like if they've either not been out for a good walk and they just need a run, or I just need a lazy walk, then I'll take them to a secure field. They get all the energy out that they need, and I don't have to think about it. It's a nice reset for both of us. And then, like I said, while people might not understand the Halti thing, it's just over that barrier for me, and it being a safety. I don't very often use it. I try not to. It's just that reset barrier, like, right, I need to get this walk done so that tomorrow I can focus on training. Today's just getting me out that front door, round the block and home again.
I think it's about putting measures in place in order for you guys to feel safe, and that's absolutely okay. He's obviously been used to the harness, the halter, sorry. So for him, he's not like steam training on it. Like,
no,
he's actually been conditioned to use that in a way that doesn't cause him any harm.
And then, I mean, you know me, it's not something that I recommend to people. It's not. If you see mine and Jade's WhatsApps, all you've got is screenshots of breed groups where people are recommending halties, head collars, anything like that, because people be like, oh, what do you recommend? What harnesses do you recommend to stop my dog pulling? And then the first things are like too posh to pull, head collar, this, that, and the other. And me and Jade are both like, training.
But I think that's
recommend it,
isn't it? When equipment is used to stop a behaviour rather than actually setting the dog up to succeed and teaching them what you'd like them to do. That's when it's very different, I think.
And is again, like you said, is the difference between chucking it on the dog and then condition it to the dog. Obviously, a halter or a head collar is probably the one and only equipment that I will use. I have previously used a half choke, but that was before I was a dog trainer. That was before I knew anything. That was actually recommended to me by our obedience trainer back in the day when I was however old when I walked Woody.
It's no different to the fact that you use a show slip for Bucky during that. He's been trained to walk on that.
He's been fully conditioned to that. Whereas, like I said, with Woody, it was before I knew anything. So I stuck him on a half choke because I was told that's what I should use. And actually, no, he did just choke himself because I didn't know what I was doing. He didn't know what he was doing. But I wouldn't dare touch one now. I actually found a metal slip lead the other day that was at a field, and I pocketed it to keep it away from whoever wanted to use it. Because I was like, well, someone's left it. They obviously didn't care that much about it, so I'm just going to prevent anyone else from using it. I won't ever recommend any other sort of tool, and I don't recommend halties. It's one of those, unfortunately, I have to use it occasionally, but very rarely, and I try not to if I can.
Well, it's like the followers that know me will know that I've got a shepherd, and unfortunately shepherds are renowned for people turning around and going, oh, you can't train them without adversives. I have Zeus is now 4, and he has never had an adversive on him. I trained all his he's only ever wore a harness and a lead. And yes, he's a strong boy. But he is trained to walk loose lead on a harness.
And I think people who say that it's not doable is a completely different question. I've had a previous trainer tell me to not even bother working on Woody's loose lead until his reactivity sorted. But then actually, I've also had my current behaviourist, who she's got all of the degrees, a lot. She's a really good behaviourist. Has basically told me the complete opposite and said, well, there's no reason that you can't, because if you have a walk, you don't see any dogs, why can you not work on your loose lead at the same time? And actually, if anything, with the loose lead, he's not constantly pulling, which is increasing his adrenaline levels, which then make a reaction worse.
So if he was coming to me for reactivity training, not that he does, but if he was, he would 100% be taught loose lead.
A bit far to send him to Kent.
I mean, he'd have to come for a holiday, wouldn't he?
He can come and stay on a holiday, that's fine.
But I always train loose lead with my reactivity. As you say, cortisol is getting higher as they're pulling. Your cortisol's getting higher as they're pulling. Your shoulders are coming out, and all you need is them to then jolt forward at another dog, and that's your shoulder blade gone.
And actually, since I've been doing it, it took me 3 days to teach him how to loose lead properly. So that was 3 walks.
Yeah.
And okay, there's occasionally moments where he will pull, and we're not talking about during reactions, we're just talking about in general. But he knows, and we've been doing, again, I need to explain this for it to make sense. We're using leash pressure, but not in the sense that I'm not pulling him back, I'm not doing anything to him. It's as soon as he hits the end of that lead, I stop. He feels it on his harness, and he's like, oh,
He's like, oh,
and then he comes back into me, gets a treat
round.
for coming back into me, and yeah. So it's almost like a cue, but it's a non-verbal cue. So he just knows that the tension means that he's got to come back into me. Again, I'm not pulling, I'm not yanking, I'm not doing anything. And he's just like, oh, hold on, I've got to go back now. It's like a doorbell. You press the doorbell, you got to go to the front door. He feels that, right, I've got to go back to mum.
Yeah.
We carry on training. And then if he hits the end again, we come back. Like, it's worked. It has worked. Again, this is one of the things that me and Jade find really annoying on certain breed groups, in that like people are too quick to mention head collars or certain types of harnesses rather than just saying just loose lead train. Like, I taught a 6-7-year-old dog to loose lead train in 3 days. Like, if you've got, and I mean, everyone who knows Dalmatians knows they're basically spotty Labradors. They absolutely love their food. Like, they're not hard. They're not hard to train. They are super smart dogs. Yeah, okay, they can be stubborn in certain points, but generally with my boys, they're stubborn when I've overly done something. So if I'm trying to get Woody to jump over the same agility jump 4 times, after the third, he's probably like, "No, I'm bored of this one now, Ma. Like, come on, let's move on and do something else." Not stubborn as in they don't want to do anything. You've just got to find what they need.
I think it's that thing, isn't it, of finding a breed specific activity that they love to do.
Exactly, because like the difference between what Woody and Bucky enjoy compared to what Zeus and like Peggy would enjoy are just completely different. Again, between Zeus and Peggy is completely different, because
massively.
You've got a terrier, or you've got okay, like you can probably play tug with them both, but
yes,
the likelihood is that Peggy will play with it differently to Zeus, because terriers are made to rag around, whereas, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but shepherds are more into the bite than the rag.
Yeah, so he's a herding breed, so he wants to
chase and then the bite,
grab and bite. But we actually call Peggy Wreck It Ralph, because she just wants to grab it and destroy it. She just wants to kill it. So tugs
I completely get you.
Safe. Tugs are totally not safe being left where she is, because she will rip it apart.
No, I can imagine. And then again, like between the difference between my two, you've got, well, they're both really smart. Bucky excels in like trick training and just general obedience training, and all he wants to do is run straight. Whereas Woody, he's very much, I mean, Bucky is a good old sniffer, but Woody loves a good sniff on a walk. And again, it might be that I conditioned him when I was younger and I didn't know. I was, again, before I started dog training, I was a prolific ball thrower, not recommended. But take Woody to a field where I can go off lead now, and all he wants to do is either chase the ball or chase the stick. Again, while it's not recommended, it's 2 different things. Bucky couldn't care less about a ball. The only time Bucky cares about a ball is at the secure field, so that he'll grab a ball to get Woody to chase him, because he knows that if he's got a ball, Woody plays chase. So they're complete different dogs. Bucky just likes to run. Woody's more interested in actually doing something.
Yeah, no, Zeus and Peggy are like complete opposites. Peggy, again, she's a ball thief.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Zeus is just like, you chuck the ball, and Zeus is like, go and get it then. He's like,
no.
He's like, no. But if I was to then hide a ball and send him, and he uses his nose, 100% he's finding that ball.
Yeah.
His tracking is so high.
Yeah. Going off of that then, as we've kind of gone off on a tangent. have you seen on what we've just talked about that been able to suggest which has helped when it comes to a dog's reactivity? So, like, just matching the dog's breed specifics that the owners might not have thought of.
Yeah, so I think if you have a herding breed, you want to definitely work with what you've got. Again, if you've got a scent breed, i.e. beagle, something like that, then you really want to look at scent work. But scent work for every dog.
Yeah.
It's dogs love it. It's
Yeah.
something you can do very, very simply. Obviously with the help of a trainer, definitely. But yeah, they absolutely love scent work. Every dog loves scent work.
Yeah,
Some
and
actually I find are nose blind though.
Yeah.
You have to train it. I've had a
yes.
few.
Do you know what? The worst ones that I've had for that, stupidly, are Labradors and Spaniels.
Do you
As
know what? I think it might be the brain goes too quick.
I think as more as younger pups, they haven't quite got into it, and then as they get
Yeah.
older, they've got a really strong nose. But it's when they're younger that it's almost as if they don't know how to they don't know how to control it. So it's there,
Yes.
but they don't know what they're doing with it.
The brain's going wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like you said, sniffing in itself, because it is something that suits every dog. It is something that I'll suggest. So in my socialization class, obviously I have a mixed group class, some friendly, some non-friendly. And actually recently we have had a spout of reactive dogs, but not necessarily in a bad way. They're all controllable. They can be in that environment. And if an individual dog has, we'll say, an outburst, so he has a reaction, if taking them away an option, then scatter feed. Like chuck treats on the floor, let them find it. If they're happy, it's one of those, is an assessment thing as well, isn't it? If they are happy to sniff and eat, that'll release some endorphins, they'll chill out a little bit. If not, take them away, take them to a distance that they're happy with, and then scatter feed, just so that, again, at some point we're making those levels come down. You're not always on a high, and then they can watch what we're doing from a further distance.
Yeah, for sure. Scent work has amazing benefits at lowering arousal, like calming situations down, and it also, another one for me, after a walk that might have been a little bit stressful, for the dog, is chewing.
Yeah.
Or licky mats.
Yeah.
Like, they're a firm favourite in our household.
That's like my holy trio, is sniffing, chewing, and licking. That's always something I suggest to owners after a walk.
And that's what you got. You got total wipeout at that point, haven't you? Your dogs are going to snooze all day after that
and
point.
Again, like, it's like we were saying, going back to you saying that you don't have to walk your dog, or you have to walk your dog at some point, but like, there's other things you can do, and you'll know as much as I do when it comes to reactivity clients that you are likely going to have more days off than anything. But just because you have a day off and your dog doesn't go out for a walk doesn't mean there's not a whole array of things you can do. So my dogs get 1 chew a day, depending on what I'm doing. At the minute, they're having an enrichment toy a day, so filling it up with toys and let them push it around and play with it. They get their garden visits. Generally, if I've got time, they'll get 15-20 minutes of play in the garden. And then training. Every day I do some sort of training. So whether it's doing our physio exercises, that's still training, or whether we're teaching them new tricks and things like that. And actually, I've been suggesting trick training to so many people recently, just because it's a bit of fun you can have with your dogs. And again, the more training you do with a dog, the more likely they are to listen to you. And actually, the more places you can do those things, the more confidence they get.
For sure.
So there's so much you can do on your day off. It does just,
I've literally,
just because you're not going out on a walk doesn't mean that you don't do anything.
I did the challenge, didn't I, with everyone, all our followers, and Peggy is now absolutely obsessed with me when I'm at home. She loves it. Like, that is her favourite thing to do. Just a few little tricks and she only knows a few, bless her heart, but literally she adores it. And that connection, you build.
Yeah, you can see how they love it. And like, so we've got a level up class, which think of like everything of gymnastics. So as a kid, I used to do gymnastics at school, and you get like your level 6, 7, 8, 9, or vice versa, bronze, silver, gold, whatever. So we're doing that sort of thing. And I'll take Bucky to class, and we're only on level 1 at the minute because we've only just started. But one of the tricks that we do is a middle, and Bucky loves it. All I've got to do is stand with my legs apart. I don't have to say anything. He just goes round. And then occasionally he goes backwards, and I'm like, this is not the right way to do it. But he loves it. And then like his favourite trick at the minute is play dead. I just say dead, but he'll sit in his lie down, and I just go like that. I'm like, right, dead. And he just flops down, and he puts his head on the floor. He puts his head on the floor, and he's like, right, treat. Down again. He's like, where's my treat?
Oh,
so he loves it, absolutely loves it. He's got, again, it's probably difference in doing things. Obviously Woody and Bucky have been brought up very differently, because by the time I become a dog trainer, Woody was already 5. So he had 4 or 5 years of me not knowing what I'm doing. To an extent, I knew what I was doing, but not compared to what I know now. And then Bucky's had a dog trainer for an owner since day 1, so
well, poor Zeus was like my demo dog, wasn't he? As we were qualifying, poor Zeus had to do all of our tasks and everything that we had to have like assessed and things. But I think it's that misconception that you have to do a longevity of time as well with training. Like as I always tell my clients, as long as it takes to boil a kettle is how long you should be doing your training sessions.
And it's one of those that I suggest to people as well. I'm like, right, how many cups of coffee do you drink a day? And they're like, I don't know, 5. And I'm like, well, that's 15 minutes of training you can do.
Yeah, for sure. And even if you only do that once a day, the engagement that you will receive from your dog and the strengthening in the bond is like, well, it's invaluable, really. I actually am going to say something super controversial, and your followers are going to be like, what did she just say? I actually
that's fine.
only walk my dogs 3 times a week. So I actually only walk my dogs 3 days a week. And I know I'm not alone.
No,
and
you're not alone in that, don't worry.
Probably people listening will think, what the hell is a dog trainer and a walker suggesting 3 days a week walking? But for me, it just lowers Susie's arousal.
And it's the quality as well, isn't it? Like, if you can provide 3 good walks a week compared to 7 days of walking around the block, why wouldn't you do? So if, say, you like, hypothetically, you could commit to doing 2-hour walks every other day, or you can only commit to 20 minutes around the block every single day, which one are you going to choose? Your dog's probably going to enjoy going out for 2 hours every other day more than a 20-minute block walk. Like, well, okay, if it's a 20-minute sniffy walk is still beneficial, but I know which ones mine's going to choose. If they get to go up the forest and sniff around for 2 hours and run around for 2 hours, compared to just having granted, I do 20-minute block walks if I haven't got a lot of time, but I know which ones my boys would choose. I know which one I would ideally choose as well.
Well, Zeus is like very lazy. He is naturally, which everyone's like, what? Because he's a shepherd. Like, no, he is lazy. So 20 minutes of sniffing for him is like heaven on earth. And he loves nothing more than going on a car ride, getting out somewhere, having a sniff for 10 minutes, and then get back in the car. That's like his absolute ideal. He's so laid back. It's unreal.
And I mean, you know how far the field from my house is. It's not very far.
No.
So I've got time, but not a lot of time. I walk to the field, I do 1 lap of the first field, and I come back. And that's probably 30-40 minute walk. But actually, my dogs absolutely love that field. Like, they would,
the whole time they're there as well.
They would they'd sell me to be able to go to that field every day. They literally, if they could go to that field all day every day, they would. They absolutely love going to that field. So it's one of those, isn't it? It's the benefit, right? Okay, so they are being road walked, but they get 10-15 minutes in the field, which is what they want, and
Yeah,
then they come back again. Well, if I can do that every, like, it just depends on what you can offer, and equally you shouldn't have to feel bad about not being able to either not being able to walk your dog every day or not being able to train your dog every day. You've got to do what you can do. There's no
for
point.
sure.
A lot of what I say to my clients is don't put pressure on yourself to do something, because if you're going to stress yourself out about it, you're also less likely to do it. So literally, I say the kettle training, or like, right, so you've put your tea in the oven. If you're one like me, and we've only got a little kitchen at the minute, so I'm not a fresh
Yeah,
cook. You've shoved your Friday night pizza in the oven. Right, you've got a quarter of an hour. Do it now. You've
yeah,
got
for sure.
15 minutes to go and do something. Or like, right, you're waiting on hold for the doctor. If they're anything like my doctors, you're waiting on hold for half an hour in that morning.
Yeah,
You've got half an hour to do some dog training, because
yeah.
you know you've got a half an hour wait. It's not waiting. You know at some point you're going to be waiting for half an hour. So
And if you've got
just,
children, involve them as well.
yeah,
Like get them
exactly.
involved. There's definitely scent work activities, and I actually
Yeah.
teach scent work activities that involve children, and they can do it safely, and
And
it's so much fun.
I think essentially the more people you can get involved, the better.
For sure.
Because
Education
again,
is
it's
key.
having, yeah, it's one, having people that understand, but it's equally two, having your dog being able to be handled and stuff. So obviously we've talked about a
Yeah.
lot of reactivity, but we haven't necessarily talked about like dog to human reactivity, which
Yeah.
again, we both know we've dealt with a lot of dogs that way.
Yeah.
And whether, I mean, a couple of the ones I've experienced that I've obviously spoke to you, I mean, you guys know everything that goes on in my life. The ones that we've dealt with possibly are lack of handling. In certain ways, I know certain clients or ex-clients or people, when they're like, well, I can't take my dog to the vet without it being sedated. Right, okay. And again, this might be judgy, but unless your dog's had a traumatic incident, why have you not trained them to get to that, like, before that point? So Woody
Yeah.
has had, you know as well as I do, Woody's had traumatic incidents at the vet. He, at 18 months old, he lost his tail. He had 2 operations. The whole healing procedure for him, for his tail, took 4 months. So he went from a tail which was as
Yeah.
long as his body to a tail that is the size of my phone. He had the most traumatic experience, and I did as well, through that time, because not only did we have a vet who told me he was fine, for the stitches then to fall out that night and then have to go into emergency
Yeah.
surgery the next day, he was in and out of the vet every day for 4 months. Like, it wasn't, none of it went straightforward. He was poked and prodded and injected and whatever, subjected to pain for 4 months. My dog will still be handled by the vet.
Yeah.
So while yes, different dogs are different, every dog's different,
Yeah.
every dog reacts to things differently. I haven't let those situations define Woody when it comes to the vet. Yes, okay, he goes in there, he shakes, he does not like it. He won't do anything to the vet. He's never showed any signs of aggression towards the vet. And equally, I go into the vet when we need to go in. But I say to him, he is muzzle trained. So if for any reason you need to put a muzzle on him, he'll be fine with
I think
it.
it's that thing,
But he
isn't
shouldn't
it,
have to.
of preparing. It's
Yeah,
preparing them
yeah,
and preparing your dog, and
yeah,
like you've got muzzle training in the bank. If you
yeah,
need it, you've got it there. He is accustomed
yeah.
to it. Again, they aren't shoving something on him when
No,
he's scared.
no, exactly. And like, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if you do it, but obviously Jazz does a lot of like the cooperative care. She does, doesn't it? Oh my god, cooperative care stuff.
Cooperative
She's
care.
very much about that one. I
Yes.
do it kind of in puppy class. I do it less so, but in some of my classes we cover it. And equally, if my clients come to me and say, "How do I do this?" and I'll train them. But again, muzzle training is always something I suggest, especially, I'm very honest with my clients. So when we've got clients that they've got particularly bigger puppies. We've got a lot of Rottweilers at the minute. I had a lady with a King Corso puppy, and from day one we muzzle trained it, just because I was like, in the nicest way, we've just had the XL bully ban, you know King Corsos are coming next, just train her it for the sake of it.
Yeah,
Don't
I think
shove it on her at any point.
I think every dog should be muzzle trained.
Yeah, they should.
I say this as a blanket view, like I have not actually done this with my dog. This is on my to-do list.
This
as
is
you
your
know.
on, Jess.
Yeah, this is my, but you know, come the academy.
By our next podcast, Jess.
Yeah, he's actually going into the academy, so I've got no excuse, because it's like I actually have to get it done. But yeah, it's I think every dog should be muzzle trained. Have it in your bank for when it's available.
Yeah.
And
it's
when
just
you need to.
It's all of those things, isn't it? Like, while yes, again, same with dog to dog reactivity, there is always going to be reasons that it happens. You should always be able to prepare your dog to go into the vet and stuff like that. Like, there's not no reason they can't be handled, because again, if you've got dogs that have been abused or anything like that, they are likely
that's
to be...
a lot I see, to be honest. So I see the complete opposite. Obviously, I don't run a lot of classes. I run very few classes if I run them. But a lot of what I see are trauma history. So I see it from a completely different aspect, where that animal does have a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And
like for me, I do prevention.
Yeah.
Yours is the other way around. So you've got dogs who haven't had the prevention, and
yeah.
Do you think, obviously, again, it depends on what the dog's been through and stuff. Obviously, if you've got a rescue and they've been beaten and stuff like that, there's only so much that prevention will work, because equally you could have had a dog that, say they've bounced from home to home, they could have had the perfect home with an elderly couple at the start that unfortunately passed away, to then get rehomed to a really shitty person that abused them. All of that prevention at the start, it doesn't matter, because someone's ruined it all and stuff like that. But I do think, as general owners, we should be looking at prevention. And equally,
I think we should also be... Sorry, interrupt you. We should also look at, like, when reactivity does start, getting that professional help early, because that can stop actually get to the point of the bite happening. And actually get that support early on makes a world of difference. The amount of cases that I've gone to, and actually if they'd called me 6 months previous, they wouldn't have bit their child, they wouldn't have bit them, or it wouldn't have escalated. Again, I see a lot who have actually got underlying pain, so then I'll do a referral to a vet, a referral to a physio. I mean, one of our local physios, I think she must love me at the moment, because she's plan writing to me all the time. She's done 6 in the last couple of weeks for me. I'm sure she really loves me at the moment, because it's made her day even longer, bless her.
I think it's one of those, isn't it? Like, you can also count it as your part of training, or you're something to focus on. So like, if for me with Bucky, I'm focusing on tricks and I'm focusing on showing. But if you've got a dog that's particularly human reactive, or it doesn't like going to the vet and things like that, make that your priority. Like, if you're working on your human reactivity, talk to a trainer and make that your priority on what you're going to train. Or if you've got a dog that's petrified of vet, right, speak to your vet about, because a lot of vets will do the like little sessions where you can go in, you can get them weighed, take them back out again. I know I can walk in my vet anytime, go and get my dog weighed and then leave. And then you can also, my vets offer the service where you can book to see a vet or a nurse, literally go into the room, they give them a treat and you walk back out again. Like, a lot of vets do that now, and it's less so that there's those limiting factors. But if that's an issue you're facing, you can do it.
Yeah, it's having that conversation with your vet as well. That I'm struggling with this behaviour, particularly if it is reactivity in a vet's practice. Can we set up a quieter time where I can pop in, give your dog a positive experience, then walk back out again? And just setting up a formal plan, so you're not pushing your dog when you're in that emergency situation?
I have a question.
Go on.
We have to round it up soon anyway, but I think this is a controversial but interesting question. Have you, because I know I have, I think I have. Have you ever experienced, whether it's dog, no, actually, I know I have, dog reactivity, dog on dog or dog to human reactivity or anything like that, where you think that the owners have possibly caused the issue? So we're not talking who's been abused. Into that extent. We're just talking the dog's dog reactive, or again, the dog doesn't like going to the vets because they've not been exposed in the right sort of way or like that. So obviously I won't go into too many details, but there is one I know for sure, and I spoke to you about it before, a certain Instagram person who claims their dog's reactive, but as so say made their dog reactive, vice versa, and stuff like that. You know about the other ones client wise, I don't need to go into those.
Actually, I see
but I want to know if you've experienced anything like that.
Yeah, I see it a lot actually with smaller dogs. And I think it's because a lot of people with smaller dogs, it's okay, I'll just stuff them under my arm and just take them anywhere. And here, you have my dog, you cuddle it. And actually, no one at any point is going, this dog is actually really struggling with this interaction. And that happens a lot. And I have gone out to a lot of dogs and I'm just like, why are you putting your dog in that situation? Your dog's so uncomfortable. And they're like, it's now barking at people. It's bitten so-and-so. It bit a man in the street or something. Yeah, your dog's been struggling for a very long time. Or the other instance.
It.
Yeah, exactly. Or the other thing where they're like, when it growls, I snap it on the nose and I say no. And you're like, that bite was always destined to happen.
You know how before we came on here, I was talking about the post that I commented on Facebook. There was another one yesterday. I need to check if the post has been taken down or not. Fuck it, if she's listening, she's listening. A lady whose dog had growled at her brother. And then now the dog will go nowhere near her brother because they obviously told the dog off for growling, and they were like, we don't want it to happen, and it's really not acceptable. And I just went, well, your dog's been told off for communicating how it feels towards your brother. Like, regardless of the situation and what happened, it might be that the dog was asleep and unfortunately your brother moved and it made the dog uncomfortable, so it growled. Your dog might be in pain. Like, there's so much you're missing, and you've literally told your dog off for communicating. I obviously said it in a bit better way than that to an extent, but this was also on my personal profile, so it doesn't count. I just, again, like, there's so much that people miss in regards to that sort of thing.
And I think there's a lack of education.
This is why I try and this is why I always try and teach my clients language and stuff like that. So at the end of every puppy class, we generally do about 5 minutes of play at the end, depending on the dogs, if the dogs are suitable for it. I always say to my clients, look, I'm not being rude. I'm going to teach you here what good dog play is, who's doing what right, who's not doing. I say, if your dog's acting like an idiot, I'm going to tell you, because I need you to interrupt when your dog's being rude, because it shouldn't have to be corrected. Your dog needs to learn. And vice versa. They need to know what to look at when their dogs are playing as they grow older to prevent any more issues and stuff like that. So again, for me, prevention is a big thing when it comes to that. And actually, that again was one of my goals starting up this business, was to start preventing things within the dog world, so that we've got more people who are educated, so that actually, right, so recently the dog attack numbers have gone up, the amount of reactive dog numbers have gone up since lockdown, and this, that, and the other. I want to be one of those people that starts reducing those numbers down, because we're starting to educate people so that they start to understand things.
Yeah, I think the more professionals that out here are educating in different ways. Obviously, you are great. You've got this podcast, you've got your business, you're doing classes. Obviously, I've got the academy going to be opening very soon, and they're the people that we have the Bad Dog Academy on TV as well. They're educating owners on body language, on the right things to be doing with their dogs, because the more of us that are doing that and having those conversations, the more people are going to learn. The amount of people that I have had that have been telling their dogs off for growling and, as you said, communicating, and they go, oh, I have to do it because otherwise they're going to become dominant. It's like, that is not how it absolutely works.
And a massive thing I think for both of us is, while especially on this podcast, so listen to all of them, me and Jade are very blunt and we are very straightforward about what we do. We're not necessarily going to shy away from our opinions, but we're also here to discuss certain things. So again, while me, you and Jazz are very similar, we are happy to discuss any differences. And I'm very straightforward with my clients. If they ask me a question, I've had a client come into class on a prong collar before. I went straight out, right, I'm not judging, but why has she got a prong collar on? And they told me, I mean, I love this kind, they're lovely people and I get what they're doing. I told them my opinion, right? I personally wouldn't use one myself. You've got this, I'm not going to name the breed, a big breed of dog. You've just had a baby. You walk around with said baby on your chest, and unfortunately, you've got to do the dog walks. While I don't agree with them, if that's what makes you feel safe, that's what makes you feel safe. It is about being honest with people in all of it. So, right, when it comes to the puppies playing, I don't know, Lucky is being really rude because Lucky's constantly pouncing on Jess. Like, you have to be blunt sometimes in order to get it through to people. And actually, the more that I'm trying to think of how to say it without it actually being really rude. The more that you are selective in what you say, the less education we're putting through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. I think we have to be open and honest with our clients, and sometimes we have to have uncomfortable conversations. You know, like I've had uncomfortable and going, actually, Fido's put a little bit too many pounds on, and is now putting quite a lot of pressure on his legs. Or considering pain, or the other one that quite honestly people love to say, who it shows how uneducated dog owners actually are, is when their dog is reactive against other dogs, they'll say, what if that was a child? Dogs do not see it like that. Children and dogs are completely different.
And then equally, so there was one on TikTok today actually. A very, very well-trained dog was just stood next to his owner. It was off lead. It was waiting for his owner to throw a ball or whatever. And this child had just wandered out of nowhere and was chatting to this woman, was in the dog's face. And it said on the comments that the child was barking in the dog's face. And all the comments were, well, why is your dog not on a lead around children and this, that, and the other? And it's like, no, actually, where's the mum? Why is that child been able to wander over to a random dog and the mum's not paying attention? And actually, it turned out the mum was like sat over on the other side of the park on her phone because the child had pointed out to where the mum was, but they just wandered off and did their own thing. And actually, like you said, it's that education on, is the dog really going to think, oh, I'm going to go for it because as a kid, or is it going to be that dog's been put in a situation where it feels uncomfortable? And unfortunately, because it's a kid, the kid's not recognised any of the communication, which the situation has then escalated.
The thing is, we're really lucky as humans. We get to share our lives with these sentient beings, and people don't realise they're sentient beings. And we have a responsibility to not only keep ourselves safe, but the animals of which we share our lives with. And that does start with education fundamentally. We can't expect everyone to know this kind of stuff, and that's why we're doing what we do, but we do need to be careful.
And I think the thing is as well, like, and this is kind of just coming to my head now, like, you got to think learning dog body language, it doesn't have to be as hard as you think it is. There are hundreds and hundreds of people out there who can learn a different language, who they speak Spanish or French or German as their second language. You've managed to spend the time to learn a whole new vocabulary. So why aren't you able to, like, understand that a dog's tail wagging isn't always a good thing, or that if you can see the whites of their eyes, that the dog might be a little bit scared, or like the whole thing about the tail being held to the left means a certain thing compared to if it's held to the right. Like, while yes, some of it is complicated, it doesn't mean that people haven't got the capability of doing it. I think sometimes it's that people don't want to do it. I don't want to say it comes down to laziness, but again, it's having the interest in order to do it, because not everyone out there wants to go and learn a second language. I'd love to learn a second language. I don't have the time to learn a second language. Like, I'm halfway there with Spanish, but not enough. Have to have the interest. So I think, again, I don't think people don't understand actually how enriching dog training can be. I've got a lovely client who, she brought her dog to puppy class, and 8 months on, she's still bringing him in training every week, and she was like, I actually love doing it. Like, and all she does is trick training or some basic obedience and stuff like that, and she's like, but it's just so enjoyable, like, being able to do different things. And again,
it's that connection as well, isn't it? It's that connection with your dog, and not only that, she gets a connection with you guys. She comes to your classes, the people of which, and connect with people she probably wouldn't do otherwise.
And that kind of goes on to what I was going to say, in that, like, going back to speaking a certain way to your clients so that they understand. I, like, all of my clients know I'm professional, but I'm not. So I'm very, very friendly when it comes to my classes. I'm not a stick board. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a swearer. I'm Bristolian. It's part of my personality. I'm not straight up. I'm not, like, boring. I will talk about things that probably shouldn't be talked about in class. I'll make jokes with things. I did it the other day, so if the guys are listening, they'll know what joke I said the other day. But actually, when you have that kind of rapport with your clients, and you're realistic and you're human, they're more likely to listen to you about everything else. We've got a really nice little, I don't want to say collection of people, but like little community of my clients who, they all know that they can come to classes and not be judged. They all know that they can come, it doesn't matter what their dog's like. Their dog can be friendly, their dog can be reactive. They all know that they're going to be accepted. But again, they all know that put them in their place. But if their dog does something that isn't acceptable, or if their dog does something that concerns me, they will be told.
Yeah, and it's that safe space of being able to be told and not being horrible,
and it's for their benefit. It's not being judgmental. It's right. Dixie has decided that today, in the first time in her life, that she's going to dislike every single dog out there. Well, that's my time to say, well, maybe she's in pain, maybe she's coming into season, like something's changed. It's now time we look into this.
Again, it's that thing, isn't it, of like, they are allowed an off day. They aren't a machine, and sometimes it's time to go home. It's time to go home. It's not their day to day, and that's just the way it is. And again, it's that reminder to clients. Again, I don't know if they're listening, but one of my agility clients yesterday, they hadn't been to agility for a while, and the dog's brains just blew yesterday. And I'm like, it's normal. Like, they've not been for so long. They love it, because they love it, because since they've been coming, their reactivity's got better. You've found something sport-wise the dog enjoys, and you're in a little community where everyone feels safe together.
and no one's judging you, like he'd missed it and his brain is just blown up because he's come back and he's so excited. And like, she's making jokes that she's not going to come back, and I'm like, but this is why, like, because you hadn't been here for weeks, he's just got so excited. You just need to come back.
Today's the day to sit at the sidelines, let him calm down over it, and like, you're here, you've made it. Like, absolutely. And that's kind of what happens sometimes, isn't it? Sometimes
and the
it's
amount
just
of
not your day.
times, what classes it was I used to do with Woody, I don't know what class it was. Bound to be with Woody. Was it with Woody? I'm pretty. It's bound to be with Woody. But the amount of times that I used to come, no, it wasn't actually. It wasn't even with the flipping dog. Me, when I used to do the class that we both did, I used to just turn up some days just for my mental health. I'm like, I can't be bothered to fly upside down today, but yeah, I drove here. I got ready. I'm here so that I get out of my house and be okay. We've lost Jess. Hold on.
Oh, I'm back.
You're back. Yeah, so
I really lost you.
Sometimes just have to go through your own mental
Yeah.
reset, stability, just to be able to get out and say that you did it.
Also, like I was saying to a friend the other day, like, we as trainers become, and like as pet professionals, become such a vital part of our clients' life. Like, I see some of my clients more than sometimes I see some of my family. You know, you're with them through milestones. I've got one client that her little girl was like 4 when I took them on. Her little girl is now going to be heading to secondary school in September.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? I've seen that little girl grow up, like from being pushed in a pram to starting school to secondary school. And, you know, we also become part of the dog's life. Like, I have obviously been in business a long time, so I've had clients that they're on their second pet with me now, or third pet, and you know, you become a vital part. But what comes with that is you have the highs and lows with that relationship. I have clients share with me their highs and lows, but it's about having that safe space in which they can have that conversation.
And again, it's them knowing that you're not judging them, but you're just explaining the best way of things. And again, like for me, obviously, this whole podcast has been about reactivity. I do allow reactive dogs in my classes, but all of my clients know that I will do my best to control the situation. But equally, don't come to class expecting it to be foot perfect. Like, all of my clients full well know reactive dogs in classes, so you're all responsible for controlling your own dog. I will do my best as well, but if you don't want to be around a reactive dog, then don't come to my classes.
Equally, you can have a non-reactive, typically dog, react in a class. And sometimes, for whatever reason that might be that day, it's not that dog's day. They're just struggling with it. They're overtired. They're hungry. They're irritable. They just want to go home. And that can happen as well. And it's about taking it day by day. And sometimes that dog might never ever do that again. They might never ever react in that way again. But that day might just not be their day that day.
And it all depends on different things. Like, every dog, again, like you said, they all react differently. So Woody never had an issue when it came to adolescent males. He's never had an issue. Bucky is a very hormonal dog and is going through that stage at the minute where adolescent males are an issue. However, the other dog out there, he is foot perfect with good as gold. And actually, sometimes it's dependent on what dog it is. And if that dog's feeling the same way backwards and stuff like that. So it all completely depends. Like, my mum's dog is, so Dolly, you know Dolly. majority of the time. I took her out the other day, so she comes out with one of my clients' dogs just to keep her company. Got a scold with him, had a lurcher run up to us and have a sniff and kept sniffing her. She full on growled at him, but she's well warranted to do that because he's in her space. He's sniffed her in places she doesn't want to sniff, but just because she doesn't do that normally doesn't mean she's not capable of that either.
Absolutely, yeah. And they're all entitled to say, excuse me, no thanks.
Yeah, exactly. And
Absolutely.
I think it is just making people aware of that, isn't it? Like, a dog who growls doesn't mean they're reactive, and like a dog who communicates doesn't mean they're reactive. But also, a thing that I want to point out is also that just because, and again, it's word in here, just because your dog's been attacked doesn't mean they're going to become reactive. I think is a massively common misconception as well. And equally, I think we've had the conversation before in that people don't know the difference between a dog who's been ambushed and a dog that's been attacked. So for me, there's a complete difference between the two. A dog that has been attacked for me is a dog that has wounds, it has injuries, it's got blood. A dog that's been ambushed is a dog that's been rushed. They've had a dog run over to them. They might have bounced on them, trying to play, possibly worse, possibly not play, but there's no injury. Like there's a fine line for me between a dog that's been ambushed and a dog that's been attacked, and it's the injury part of things is what defines it all. And again, it depends on the situation. You've got two adolescent males, like likelihood is that they wound each other up. It's just hormones that are fighting hormones, and actually it's not as big of a deal as it sounds.
And I think also the important message to put out there is, like, if your dog has been attacked or if your dog has been ambushed and you as a handler has been frightened in the situation and you now don't feel comfortable, even if no injuries happened, nothing happens, and your dog is absolutely fine, but you as a handler feels uncomfortable, you can absolutely seek help from a professional to come and join you on a walk to give you the tools and wit to stop anything else happening or what to do in that situation. Because I've actually gone out to people and done like a bit of a guided walk, if you like, and told them, right, look out for this, look out for that. Actually, greeting that dog is better for your dog's greeting style, and like avoid this kind.
The good thing with those sort of things as well is actually would also be assessing if, like, in the nicest way, if that dog that you're out with, if they're an instigator in any way. If unfortunately the owners have missed the dogs giving off certain signals, because it isn't always straightforward. Sometimes it is that you get the clients whose dogs are angels and that their dog can do no wrong. Well, actually, there might be a chance that your dog's throwing a certain vibe, or their energy that, like, it comes across the wrong way for certain dogs, or again,
they might be misplaced.
There's just something
misplaced pace. That's it.
And like, as we both know, that certain dogs have certain problems with black dogs or huskies because of the pointy ears. Like they've got problems with dogs that got bracky breeds because they don't have a nose, so they can't tell the body language, or no tail, like etc. etc. There's a load of reasons it could be. So actually having a trainer about who can say, right, no, your dog did something wrong there and unfortunately it spread the other dog on, or no, your dog didn't do anything wrong, that dog's the problem, or vice versa. There's two different issues, like, oh, it was fine to start with, but then A was overpowering dog B, so then dog P like panicked and then it escalated and unfortunately things happen. Like, it's always good to have someone's perspective.
And I say sometimes you spend too long at the party. It's like the child that spends too long at the party, you know, you've allowed them to greet for such a long time that it just gets a little bit too intense, and that's the time that you as a handler need to take control of the situation and just move away.
Definitely. Right, I think we're going to have to call that a day here, because although this isn't going to go out at the time that we are recording, it is coming up to 11 o'clock and it's very late. But thank you all for watching and listening. For those of you that you're in Kent area, aren't you, Jess?
Yes.
Any of you that are in the Kent area, then search up Jess at Hoof Paws. She's got her academy opening up very soon, which we're all excited to see. Thank you for coming on, Jess, and we will get you on again at some point soon.
Thank you so
hopefully
much.
it's okay. Hopefully Jade will be back soon enough. But this is all done for today. Don't forget to like, share, and follow, and send Jess a follow and a like as well too. See you later.
See you later.